cheeky and fun.
Yeah, I mean, his shenanigans are cruel and tragic.
Which makes them not shenanigans at all, really.
And now, back to the Big Dumb Fun Show.
Back on the Big Dumb Fun Show. If you've got a smartphone, Android, Apple, I think BlackBerry, Samsung, download the TuneIn app. Go to tunein.com, download the app on your phone, and then do a search after the install. Big Dumb Fun Show. You will find us right there.
Absolutely. You'll be able to pull us up via your mobile device. I also want to warn you, you got to make sure that when you try to tune into the show, you want to make sure you do it on Wi-Fi or something that is not going to take up. If you're on a bad cellular plan with not a lot of data usage, we throw in a lot of data in this bitch, right? Like we throw in, there's a lot of content coming your way via comedians, local artists, bands, Occupy Wall Street, political activists. We got sports. We got a lot of stuff we're shoving through the tubes that is the internet. And by God, you're going to get charged for it if you're not smart with your phone. You like how I turned that around there, Gunnar? Smart with your phone. Well, back before the internet was even invented, in a cold morning in late winter 1932, a brave man stepped forward from a crowd gathered in the woods of eastern Jackson County. The sheriff had offered $25 to anyone willing to be lowered into a deep well and tie a rope around whatever was in the well at the bottom. This guy would do it, the man proclaimed, because, times were hard in 1932. His bravery turned out to be shorter than his rope, however, and dimmer than the light of his lantern. This is actually a really sad story.
So they didn't know what was at the bottom of the well?
They had no idea what was at the bottom of the well.
There's something down there. They knew it.
There's something at the bottom of the well. Who wants to go down there? I'll give you 25 bones.
How deep was the well? Well,
it may say later in the article. He yelled at those manning the rope to pull him back up because he didn't want to do the job anymore. Not after seeing what lurked in the water that bubbled in the dark below. Bud Alexander pushes up his John Deere cap and studies an old photograph of the three brothers wearing tattered overalls and sad, worn faces. That's my dad on the right, he said last week in the back room of a Pleasant Hill Historical Society museum. He looks deep as if the cold of the gray day in the photo, I'm sure this thing killed him. He was just 64 years old. Bud was 73, a retired auto worker, and that's all that's left of his generation, the last cousin of his family. The ghost of his uncle, Tom, is now alone. So is the task of finally clearing his uncle's name and that of his family. Remember, they are trying to clear their family's name.
Oh, that's right. Now, were they involved in something that happened that made their family's name besmirched? Did they do something people thought that they had some kind of wrongdoing?
Why did you switch camera angles? This is really weird. Okay, thanks.
There you go.
Sorry. That was crazy, that last one there. As long as he can remember, his family's been tied to the wrong side of the murder of a kindly Kingsville farmer. Not Tom, but Emmett Howard, the man he was accused of killing with a... Why? The man that he was accused of killing with a 4-foot piece of hickory nearly 8 decades ago. And if you're like me, you're thinking, what the hell does this have to do with a man in a freaking well? Newspapers wrote the story after the murder about a manhunt for the suspected swinger of that hickory. Tom Alexander, who was 27 and a trapper, was branded a cold-blooded killer. A sheriff's posse, moonshiners, Kansas City gangsters, and a place called Devil's Ridge would figure in the tale as well. Robert Kennedy, a historian at the museum, called the case one of the great murder mysteries of the region. But Bud Alexander never learned much about the story from adults in the family. If the subject ever came up, they'd start talking about corn or soybeans or cows.
Every time.
It wasn't one of those things that they talked about in their family. All the while, during the manhunt, Tom Alexander wasn't on the lam. He was at the bottom of the well.
What?
A murder victim himself, his head also bashed in. That was the guy at the bottom of the well. But that didn't clear his name with everyone in the tale of money and greed and old families, the seeds of which may have been planted years earlier. One man who did not want to be identified. Come on, buddy. It's like, 70 years ago? Let's,
He didn't still want to be identified.
I don't want to be identified. The gangsters are still listening. The Star, they told the Star that the heirs to those linked to the killings still bristle at the mentioning of them. Tom's family, for years afterwards, felt the hard eyes of the townsfolk. Any strange car that came down the road, kids would have to go inside. This is ridiculous! He would like nothing more to finally find the truth, whatever it is. So he's
Good
gathering.
thing they didn't leave along the freeway, because if they did, they'd be like,
Get
going
inside!
in. Get
Okay,
inside.
get inside! Okay, get inside! So he's gathering information, going to libraries and museums, talking to historians, trying to find any lost nugget of evidence, he says, to show that it wasn't anybody in his family that killed the guy in the well. But for now, all he has is a binder of old newspaper stories, scribbled notes, and a few family memories. The cold case, he knows, may likely stay that way. Everyone's dead, the well's been filled in, and the truth and lies go long ago beaten into the same dirt. Now, here's what
wait a second, but they got the guy that was murdered out of the well.
that's what I'm trying to figure out. It doesn't ever say whether they got the guy out of the well. What they
How
said...
would they know that the side of his head was bashed in if they didn't? Maybe it was from the fall.
It could have been that he fell in the damn well.
Or he was pushed.
I need to,
Come on over to this hole in the ground here by me.
if my Gramps was awake
this
right now,
happened in
I would
Pleasant-
ask him all about that.
You grew up in Pleasant Hill.
No, this happened in eastern Jackson County, and
Pleasant Hill is
no, it's
in
not.
eastern Jackson
Pleasant
County.
Hill's in Cass County, buddy. What are you thinking? But he was at the museum of the Pleasant Hill Museum, which, if Pleasant Hill has been considered anything, Devil's Ridge would be a good adjective. 2 weeks before 1931, Emmett Howard, a bachelor farmer, found badly beaten at the edge of a timber patch near his home near Kingsville, Missouri, also Cass County. He'd been missing for 2 days. In a dying voice, he told authorities he'd gone hunting with Tom Alexander, but did not say who attacked him. And so that's kind of what led them to Tom Alexander, but I guess there was no proof in the matter, and back then, hey, who needs proof when you have
Tom Alexander.
Tom Alexander there to take the fall? So the guy gets stuck in a well.
Wait a second.
The funniest part
you
of
mean
the story,
guy that they lowered down got stuck?
he gets stuck too.
Did he die?
He dies too.
He's stuck in the well for 25
Both guys
bucks.
die in the well.
What happened? I thought they had him tied to a rope.
Well, the rope wasn't long enough.
And they let go of it?
And then the guy drops the lantern. The well, how deep was this DD well?
Like they didn't have another rope they could lower down to the guy?
my
Or did
God.
maybe when they dropped him,
I got to post this. I don't know
like
whether...
they keep lowering him down also in the end of the rope and they don't know to hey.
Kudos to my grandpa for actually reading this awful story and finding some humor into it. I'll post it up on the website. But I think what we learned from the story is if anybody ever offers you $25 to go in the well,
Don't do it.
Yo, VIP.